knocked out all the deadlift sets that I needed. It's 1:30 in the morning, but I did take a 1 hour nap before training. Desperately needed it after last night, and very little sleep, very little rest today. So I know that the plan, I wrote down 8 sets of 3, 24 reps, and that's what I need at this percent. But this is still skill, still technical, still speed work. I showed skill, I showed technique, and I showed speed, and I know that my body needs to be doing less, and I'm going to build my deadlift by committee for a while, especially for the next 5-6 weeks anyway. So I'm going to build my deadlift by being technically perfect on this, by doing the maximum amount of pulling that I can do safely, and lots of therapy exercises and little things like you've been seeing me doing training lately, getting my body back to being able to function a little more functionally. So, man, the Stones on the radio, but that was solid work. I'm going to go ahead and move on to a bunch of other stuff I need to get done. I'm not going to continue to push my body any harder than I already am, especially when I'm already run down. So let's move on, guys. That was solid. All right, guys, that's Monday night. It's Monday night. Very, very productive session. Focusing on the therapy work and getting a lot of content out to my clients. Before I go to bed, I will edit what you're watching right now out for my clients, so that way they can see it and have it for their training tomorrow and the rest of the week. So deadlifts were sharp. Last week was a big turning point technique-wise. I'm kept that this week. This week was probably the first week that I've been able to dip my knees between my elbows and get an arch in my back at the bottom of the lift. Some of that could be just a little bit of weight loss. My belly not being as big makes it a little easier to get down in that pocket. So that could be it, or I could just feel good, but I definitely, after my nap and getting up here and warming up and eating, I did feel good, and not a lot of things hurt. If you're watching, I've had a lot of people. I got a message a few minutes ago from a multi World Strongest Man finalist athlete, asking me some questions, and then we were talking about training and what it would take to get me back to Masters World's Strongest Man, and the numbers that I need to lift in the gym to get there. And of course, to him, those numbers seemed just trivial. That would be his first warm-up, basically, at most major contests. If he had to, if he was just walking in like, oh my gosh, I gotta go. My goals would be his warm-up. And it's just, I've been set back so many times over the last several years. I have lost a lot of function in my feet, from the knee down. I have lost a lot of function in my hamstrings, and this kind of stuff happens to people. And if I was just box squatting, if I was just deadlifting, if I was just benching, especially if I was lifting in gear, I can mask over a lot of that stuff and you wouldn't even notice. But when you see me doing the strongman events, I start to wonder, where the heck did my speed go? Because I used to be lightning fast on everything. And with a lot of my upper body stuff, it's coming back. With a lot of my lower body stuff, it's not coming back. And so much of that comes from me not being able to use my feet and my legs, from the spine down the hamstrings, both calves, and both feet, especially my right one. And when you see me doing the movement stuff that I'm doing here at the end, that is where everything really stands out, doing the fine detail stuff. So what happens is, instead of doing this kind of stuff 3 years ago, I just said, it's probably going to go away on its own. And I just continue to do the events. You're not 20% of the weight off the events. Focus on speed, go light for a little while. All through my 20s in strongman, because I competed through my 20s, 30s, and 40s. This is my third decade of life competing. Through my 20s and all of my 30s, I could just train lighter for a few weeks or a couple of months, and in the end come out fine. Everything heals. And this is not one of those situations. So I know a lot of the medicines that I've taken for my health, they've changed DNA. That's what they're supposed to do. They kill cells, don't allow cells to replicate, change mitochondrial formation, and that includes muscle cells and hair cells, brain cells, lung tissue. I'm always sucking wind and trying to breathe. I've got lung tissue damage, but I'm alive. So it's one trade off for another. So what I'm doing with all of this is, I know that I'm not going to fully repair my stuff. But if I was going to physical therapy, the physical therapist would have me doing stuff to try and retrain my body patterns. Right now my foot is killing me. It was worked so freaking hard trying to balance myself. So all of the muscles and everything, I realize it may not go, it's not going to go back to normal, but my body will learn a motor pattern that will work. So, and I don't need it to learn, in the end, I need it to learn a motor pattern that will work under extremely heavy loads. Extremely heavy loads. You know, 1,000-pound yoke. I need my body, 350-pound each farmers. I need my body to be able to function under that kind of load. But I need it to start to learn that pattern with very little to very no load. That way I can feel all the small details. If you put me under a heavy load, I'll use my back. I use my abs for everything. My midsection controls everything that I do. It's always tired. It's extremely thick for muscles, but it's always tired. And it takes over everything, so the other body parts don't have to work. So if you put me under a small load and need me to do a wide range of motion, my body's going to have to learn a better motor pattern system in order to move. You put me under a really heavy load, those big muscle groups are going to take over again, and I'm not going to get anywhere in the long run. I don't think. So solid training session, deadlifts, speed deadlifts, tons and tons and tons of accessory work. And I feel really, really worked. It's late, and I don't feel like I've beaten my body up. I don't feel amazingly stressed either, which is really big. So I'm going to wrap this up. Hope you enjoyed the video. Tomorrow is, it's a ton of family stuff, but there's no training tomorrow other than some mobility and movement and the rower. Reverse hypers 2 or 3 times tomorrow, but no big lifts or anything tomorrow. Come back on Wednesday for some box squats. I got some threes planned, several sets of heavy threes. So let's see what happens, guys. Have a good one. See you Wednesday.